You're looking live as players are warming up for the final game of the 2021 season. The Houston Texans are looking to play spoiler to a Tennessee Titans team that needs a win to lock up the #1 seed and a first-round bye in the AFC playoff picture. But not so fast. The Texans have won 2 of their last 3 games against the Titans. And the Texans will get a few more starters back on offense today off the COVID list. We'll tell you who those are and bring you a one-on-one with Roy Lopez. Texans Unlimited, presented by Verizon, starts now.
We are ready to rock in Houston.
Touchdown, Houston!
Are you kidding? What a catch. Oh, baby.
Welcome into Texans Unlimited, presented by Verizon. It's week 18, and yes, it still sounds weird to both of us and to probably all of you. Welcome in. The Texans are hosting the Tennessee Titans, and the Titans have a lot to gain from a win today. As we said earlier, a #1 seed, a first-round bye, but the Texans, they've made life difficult for the Titans, and they won in Week 11 on the road, but back then it was Tyrod Taylor getting the start. Today it's going to be Davis Mills. He sees the Titans for the first time in his career. Welcome in, Drew Doherty.
Good to see you. Yeah, the Texans got 5 takeaways in that game. It was part of a 2-week span where they had 10 total, so that's been pretty much the magic ticket for Houston all season long. If they go +3 or more in turnover differential, they win. There was like that little outlier against the Chargers, but other than that, you know, they pretty much win when they get way more takeaways than they do the other team. So let's do that today.
You've got a lot of different players getting takeaways. Desmond King, one of them, he was a former Titan for a brief stretch of last season. And if he gets a pick today, that'll be a new career high for him. He's gotten 3. He had one last week against the 49ers. But let's get into some of your quick hits of the week. Earlier in the week, the big news story was Derrick Henry. Would he or wouldn't he suit up for today's game against the Texans? He will not. He was designated to return off of IR, but he is not going to be playing in today's game. Instead, it'll be the former Texan, Deontay Foreman. He's rushed for 300 yards in the past 5 games, and head coach David Culley was asked about it earlier. He said no matter who's running the ball for the Titans, it's going to be a big challenge for this Texans defense.
They know who they are, John. I mean, and they've gotten back to who they were. Obviously, when we played them the first time, they weren't able to do that. Our defense forced them to do something that they didn't want to do. Since our game, they've gotten back to that. It's a challenge. It's a challenge every time you play against this football team because you know what they're going to do. There's nothing complicated about what they do. They know what they want to do. They do it well. And when they are doing it, they're a very well-balanced football team offensively as well as not only running the ball but throwing the football. And when they're running the football, you know, Tannehill is playing really, really good football. And, you know, defensively, obviously, that's a very good front that they have. And they've got some guys back that they didn't have when we played them the last time.
And rookie quarterback Davis Mills, he'll get his 11th start today when he comes out against the Titans. He currently ranks 2nd among all rookies in completion percentage. 66.5% of his passes are being completed. And he leads all quarterbacks in his red zone passer rating. Davis Mills reflected on what this rookie campaign's been like working with head coach David Culley, offensive coordinator Tim Kelly, and quarterbacks coach Pep Hamilton.
It's been great. I mean, a whole lot of fun to start off. I love playing a game of football, and I'm out here doing my dream, playing at the highest level. So that's the first thing. And then, all 3 of those guys are great coaches and with a lot of experience and a lot of things that I can learn from. So it's starting to slow down. It was fast when I came in during OTAs and the start of the season, having to pick up the offense with all the new verbiage and kind of different things that were just different than what I learned in college, because I was in a little bit of a different scheme in college, being just like a true pro style, old school offense at Stanford. So coming in the first half of the season, a lot of it was just trying to keep my head and learn all the stuff. But now that I've got everything pretty much ingrained and it's more week-to-week game plan stuff rather than trying to learn the foundations of this offense, I've really started to not worry too much about what we're doing, but more so what my coaches can tell me about the other defenses that we're playing and how I can anticipate better and really go on and attack each week, week by week, opponent by opponent. So it's been great.
Well, the last time fans here saw linebacker Kamu Grugier-Hill, it was pretty scary. He was being carted off the field with a knee injury and what appeared to be a pretty serious injury, but he returned after missing just 2 games. Kamu Grugier-Hill, he reflected on what it's been like for him. He now leads the Texans defense in tackles. What it's been like playing in this defense and what being with the Texans has meant to him personally.
For the first half of the season, we go through training camp, we go through OTAs. We're just learning the system. We're not even really playing, the defense as is. Every individual player is trying to just do their job and okay, on this play I have this, But going into your second year, everyone, that has been here and knows the defense, we know the defense as a whole. We know what, Coach Levy wants. We know the holes in the defense. We know the strengths in defense. And I think it just allows everyone to play a lot faster. I'm excited for it. I hope I can be here because I think, playing the system for multiple years would be unbelievable.
And Kamu Grugier-Hill, he actually missed those 2 games being on the COVID list, not actually being on IR. And all these players, it seems like, have cycled through this COVID list. A lot of players back healthy now. So let's get into our inactives for the week, which look a little bit more normal than they have.
Yes, they do. Pretty standard. The only big surprise I would say is Chris Conley and Jordan Akins. Jordan Akins is, and it's not a huge surprise, but Jordan Akins has been off and on the inactives list all season long. Conley, that kind of hurts. He's started basically your entire season at wide receiver, so they're not going to play. Neither will a slew of defensive linemen, and, of course, Deshaun Watson inactive again for the 17th time in 2021. So Texans going to go to probably a lineup where you see more of the running back. We joke every week that, we get this unofficial starting lineup, and you'll see that in a few moments, but we joke all the time about how they see this official starting lineup with 2 running backs out there, which has never happened at all this season. And you might see it today, might we?
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe we will. Let's get into some of the Tennessee Titans inactives as well.
Yep. Kendall Lamb is the familiar name there. He's been playing quite a bit of, getting quite a bit of starts there on the offensive line. He's one of 3 Texans typically starting on that offensive line, along with center Ben Jones and David Quessenberry out at tackle. But let's talk about Ben Jones as we wrap up the Titans inactives. This guy was solid for the Texans, came in and started as a rookie, and then started at another guard spot. He was at right guard as a rookie, left guard as a second-year player, and then took over the center position in his 3rd year here. And then he went on and he basically started for the rest of the decade for the Titans. But there's Davis Mills. That's the name to focus on today. Can he continue to make progress? Can he continue to do good things in the second half like he did in the 2 wins the Texans had a few weeks back, and continue to make progress and be the hope for the future for the Texans at quarterback?
Yeah, and the 2 players that he gets back on offense, which would be a boost for him, Danny Amendola, he should play. He's not on that inactives list. He came off IR, but then was on the COVID list. And Chris Moore, he was listed as questionable with an illness. He'll be back in the lineup, which helps with Chris Conley out because he was on that injury report all week as well. And so was Jordan Akins, actually. He was listed with an illness. So it could be illness. It could be a healthy scratch. Not really 100% sure there. But then also Titus Howard will be back in the mix. He's missed a couple games. We'll see that in the starting lineups. But, we want to mention no Justin Reed because he's still on the COVID list. So he's not inactive, but he's on the reserve COVID list. And there you saw Danny Amendola, Desmond King warming up there. And, these guys facing former teams. A lot of former Titans that were former Texans. Zach Cunningham, former Texan earlier this year. He's played the last 3 games for the Titans. He'll be back out there on the field. And it looks like, his rep count has been growing over the last few weeks as well.
Yeah, he's basically played in about 2/3 of the snaps since he's suited up the last 3 weeks. But there's about 10, 11 former Titans players on this team. And their head coach is Mike Vrabel, and you also got 4 assistant coaches. And we got questions to answer.
We absolutely do.
Fans are watching us all over the world, DP.
We've got German Chexon, who's always watching us, big fan. Shout out to him. Ryan in Ireland, Rick in Berlin. And John wants to know, what does today's game mean for AFC standings? Well, John, we'll tell you this. The Titans have locked up the AFC South for a 2nd year in a row. They can get a number 1 seed with a win today. They could still get an AFC number 1 seed, but a lot of different things would have to happen if they lose to the Texans. But they're hoping to wrap up their business with a win today, leave here, get a first-round bye. So this will be an important game for the Titans, and they definitely – that's why we saw Derrick Henry sort of sort of come back into the picture, because would it be worth it for them to start him this week? It absolutely would if they can get a first-round bye out of it.
Yeah, but he's not.
But he's not.
A win by the Texans all but ensures the Chiefs are the 1 seed. So there's lots of Chiefs fans, whenever the Texans have tweeted anything in the last 24 hours, cheering for the Texans today and wanting a win. So, yeah, you can really wreck things for the Titans, make them play next week, make them have to play that extra game and not get that extra time to heal not just Henry up, but all these other guys.
Exactly,
I mean, you go through an NFL season, it doesn't matter who you are, you're banged up regardless of position. And, there's another question, will Justin Reed play strong safety or free safety today? No, he won't play either because he's not going to play. So no Justin Reed, like we mentioned earlier. He's not going to suit up. That's from Kyle. And then we got another question. Katie, we were just talking about this off air, DP, you and I. Katie asking who the Texans are playing in 2022. We don't know the dates yet. But listen to this. Texans are going, face their normal AFC South opponents, but they're going on the road to Miami, to Las Vegas, to New York to face the Giants. They'll go
amazing road trips for traveling Texans
They'll
fans.
go to Arlington to take on the Cowboys, and then coming here, you got the Chiefs, you got the Chargers, you got a whole bunch of teams. Washington will be here, so will the Eagles. So, yeah, there's a pretty interesting slate of games. And then who you play in the AFC North is still up in the air because that's the extra game you play. So you'll play the third-place team there, and then the third-place team with the AFC North as well. So that could be the Steelers, that could be the Ravens, that could be those squads, and there's all sorts of up in the air stuff there.
Yeah, and it'll all be solidified today, not the dates, but where and who. And Drew, you usually do a story right after the end of the season.
Already queued it up. Yeah,
he's got it queued up. He's just got to fill in the last few blanks, so look for that on Houston.
As well as the draft slot, which will that could fluctuate from as high as 3, where the Texans are now, down to 5th. So we'll see.
All right. Jordan wants to know, how do you feel about the former Texans playing for the Titans today? Jordan, it's a little bittersweet. I'm very happy to see some of these guys playing. I was telling Drew just now, I was on the field pregame, and I saw David Quessenberry.
Jealous. I wish I'd have seen him.
He came over and gave me a high five, and it makes me so happy for him. I wish he was here, but, just seeing the journey that he went through, being diagnosed with cancer in OTAs, seeing him as a rookie, he battled knee injury. He made his way back. We saw him lose all of his hair. We saw him lose all of his weight. We saw him gain all of his weight. And to see him back, and he just had a baby. He's playing for the Titans. He's doing great things. It makes me very happy for guys like that.
Yeah,
but I have to admit it. I do miss seeing some of our former players.
He's one of those all-time favorite Texans, to root for. So is Ben Jones.
But we have Paul Quessenberry.
Kendall Land. Yeah, we got Paul
brother.
Quessenberry. So we do have some Quessenberries.
We have some
Captain Paul Quessenberry, U.S. Marine
That's
Corps.
right. That's right.
There's a lot of guys that played here and that are on that squad now. So yeah, it's bittersweet's the perfect word for it. You want to beat them. I saw the assistant strength coach Brian Bell. He used to be here and chit-chatted with him, and as we were leaving, I said, hey, good luck. I hope we beat your ass today, but I hope after that you'll do very well. So.
And Mike Vrabel is just such a character. I mean, every time he
awesome.
sees it at the Combine, he yells at my Twitter handle and makes fun of me. And I'm like, I didn't win Super Bowl rings. I don't have the followers you have, so let me live. Javari in Miami says, can we expect Rex to play wide out more today with Chris Conley out? I don't know about that. I think Chris Conley's role in recent weeks, he's been more of a blocking wide receiver, and he's very unselfish in how he plays the game. So I don't know. I think maybe that doesn't – I wouldn't expect that to change Rex's role. Maybe you need someone that blocks the way that Chris Conley did.
He's not going to play wide receiver, but he might catch passes. But he's a running back. He might split out.
Yeah,
he's not going to play wide receiver.
Right, he may still do more of that. Sam, will Derrick Henry play today? No, Sam, he will not. He was designated return, but Mike Vrabel said he's just not ready. They saw him in practice. They gave him some reps. He returned, I think, on Wednesday, and so he needs a little bit more time to rest and recover. So he will not be playing today. It'll be Deontay Foreman, the former Texan. We didn't even mention him as a former face. That also is bittersweet because we saw him get carted off with a knee injury a few years ago. He never quite made it here, never quite caught on here, and to see him having the success he has, man, talk about bittersweet because
rough stuff for him.
He is.
But he's doing well now.
He's doing very, very well for the Titans.
DP, he's had 3 games in the last 5 or 6 where he's gotten 100 yards or more. But we got a fun interview to get to here in a minute.
Absolutely. This guy, I interviewed him earlier in the year. He was on the COVID list, and he's done some great things. He had a career-high 5 tackles last week at San Francisco. Roy Lopez, Drew Doherty had a chance to catch up with him earlier in the week.
This pregame interview is powered by Reliant. Drew Doherty with defensive lineman Roy Lopez. And Roy, it seems kind of odd. It's your rookie season coming to an end, and we're going to get into the game in just a moment. But in this final stretch of the season, this final week of the season, when you look back at things, what have you learned about yourself as a football player?
Right. I think the biggest thing you learn as a rookie, all the past little things you've done to lead up to this year and lead up to the moments you're in, they matter. Everything's about the little things. People, you hear that so many times, but when you get up here, you understand what they're talking about. And so you just focus on that every day. You try to remind yourself and don't forget, because on Sunday you're thinking about the little things. So, you got to remember to practice those things on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So,
And that's something you did pretty darn well, because you came in here in May, shortly after you were drafted, and you didn't mess around. You had a good training camp, and then you go on to start 14 games this season, really from week 2 onward. There was a bout of COVID in there, but I'd say you handled those little things pretty well, don't you?
Right. Yeah, I was fortunate enough and blessed enough to be able to, play the full season and be able to perform. But, that just goes to show the type of room I was in, the trust that they gave me and the trust that the coaches put in me and my teammates put in me, playing alongside everybody and just understanding, that you can't skip a beat. And when Vincent Taylor went down, I still asked him questions, and he helped me a lot. So just being able to lean on everybody in the room, didn't matter if they played nose guard, 3 technique, 5, 6 technique, that didn't matter. I had questions, and that's something that, I'm grateful for, that I was able to, ask questions to my coaches, fellow teammates and everybody. So, I owe a lot to my teammates to be able to help me grow.
That's really cool to hear about your curiosity, the inquisitiveness. How much, though, did self-confidence play in all of that? And how much has your self-confidence grown?
Right. If you ask anybody in my family or any of my friends, really, they'll probably say, I don't like too much confidence, So at the same time, I'm hard on myself. There's a good happy medium where I fall in that line. And, you got to be able to critique yourself and remind yourself that, it's the next play, whether it's good, bad, it doesn't matter. You can't celebrate too much. You can't dwell on the past too much. So being able to stay level-headed is something that, people have complimented me throughout my whole career, that I'm kind of just laid back and kind of just try to focus on myself and others and make sure we all get the job done.
So with all that in mind, and we're going to talk about this game, and I know that's the main focus for you right now, but with all that in mind, how do you attack this offseason? What do you plan on working on and trying to improve the most? And where do you plan on doing the bulk of that?
Right. Yeah, I'm looking forward, and I'm excited to play this last game and go try and get a win. But I'm also looking forward to the offseason because I understand now what plays I'm going to get, what the NFL is all about. So you come in as a rookie and you're like, man, you just try to play football. You try to hold your gap and make the play when they come to you. So now you got to take the next step. Going into year 2. And you see that, with the rookies that were here last year. You look at John Grenard, that's taking a step,
Mm-hmm.
So, I'd like to take a step also and just being able to understand my body and being a nose guard and understand the double teams, all the plays I'm going to get. And so being able to grow mentally, physically, my feet, my hands, and just another year of maturity and understand that, you got to take advantage of the time you're here. So.
That's really exciting stuff because you started out at a really good level. And if you take a step, that means really good things for the Texans defense and this team as a whole. Also means bad things for the Tennessee Titans offensive line, who you're going to see 2 times next year and you're going to see this weekend. Tell me about that group, because they obviously can't run the ball the way they do without those guys doing what they do in a pretty good way, right?
Right. Their O-line's a respected group of guys. They play well with each other. They're pretty much all veterans. They played many years, so, we just it comes down to playing your keys and technique. And that's why, our defense is so technique sound or you have to be, because, that's what we got an advantage over our offenses. We rely on our technique. It comes down to playing football, so that's just what we got to do. The O-line, their O-line is well respected around the league. So.
Rookie Roy Lopez, and would love to see a salsa sack dance celebration from him today. He had a sack earlier in the year. I'm sure he'd like to do the same, end his rookie campaign with a big play or 2 or 3 or 4. But first, let's get into some of your starting lineups. Let's take a look at the offense first. We've got Davis Mills, and like Drew mentioned, only one running back in this projected starting lineup. It is a projected starting lineup, so Rex Burkhead. Some changes at wide receiver. You've got Nico Collins, Brandon Cooks, and Chris Moore with Chris Conley out, and tight end Pharaoh Brown. And big changes here for your offensive line, which means that it looks more like it looked when it was healthy. Titus Howard returns to the mix. You got Lane Taylor left guard, Justin Britt center, Justin McCray right guard, and Charlie Heck at right tackle, which is basically the starting 5 that you'd wanted to have before COVID hit. Let's take a look at your starting lineups on defense.
And as an asterisk, I bet you actually see 2 tight ends instead of 3 wide receivers. So there we go.
Would not be surprised.
And on defense, pretty much the same crew you've seen for most of the season without Justin Reed. That's the big exception, but that's what the Texans are going to go out there with. Kirk Hill back, and then Jonathan Grenard, 2 sacks shy of 10 for the season. That would be fun to see him. He talked about this week, hey, the biggest thing I need to work on is ability. We always hear our buddy Spencer Tillman, who does the preseason color commentary, say the best ability is dependability, and that's kind of along the lines of what Jonathan Grenard has said. But you see number 53, Connor Strahan there. He is a guy that got called up again. It's been a good December for him. He was added to the team on the practice squad in November, but there's Desmond King. Had a cup of coffee with the Titans, and we look all over the place at some of the stuff going on. But DB, you got to get some takeaways today. That's what sped you along to victory the first time you played them, because this team can pound the rock, and if you let them run, that's not going to be good. You made the Titans throw 52 times last game. If you have to throw 52 passes in an NFL game, you're usually going to lose. It's usually how things goes. Look it up, how things go. Look it up. If the team throws 50 or more times, that means things aren't going pretty well.
Well, a lot's changed since Week 11. Ryan Tannehill threw 4 interceptions that game. Yep. He has not thrown an interception in the last 2 games. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they are running the ball better. And then for the Texans, you had Tyrod Taylor. It's like that seems like ages ago that Tyrod Taylor was starting at quarterback. Now you've got Davis Mills. So changes on both sides of the ball offensively. But, yeah, you're right, Drew. Absolutely. Texans defense has to get takeaways today. Also, just want to say for today's game, home field advantage captain Andre Johnson is back in the house. He is an Hall of Fame finalist for the 2022 class. We wish him all the best. Love seeing Andre back in the building. Love seeing all of you Texans fans. It's been a great 2021 season. That's going to do it for Texans Unlimited presented by Verizon. Thanks so much for watching. Have yourselves a great game day, and go Texans.